Can you DM me or friend me and then DM me? I got a favor to ask.
Okay. What? Who are you on here?
This is NOLA mesh project.
Hold on. All right.
Thanks.
All right.
Clog up the regular chat with my stuff.
I think I just farted you.
Okay. Let me try and get into there and out of here. Where the hell is the friends thing? Nope. I use this thing only on Mondays, so I don't know where anything is. Wait, here we go. And you're PH freelance?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Well, welcome in everyone. Few things this week. I think that Grumpy will definitely have some stuff to go over. Quite a bit on the software side, a lot of backend stuff. Thank you to Jay, that's currently in the space. He helped redo a lot of the website and part of the backend. Got some new wizard tools to hopefully make setting up devices easier. Outside of that, there's no real, I think, exact agenda. I don't think Grumpy did any sort of agenda, so yeah.
Figured Grumpy had an agenda. Typical.
He didn't send me one this week, but let's see. On the software side, we're starting to have people from Emerald Coast put their observers on our MPTT server, which is nice. Hopefully that will help out with prefix collisions once we move to default. Hopefully once Grumpy in here, hopefully once Grumpy's in here, he'll talk about pushing up the pushing the move to default, and yeah.
Isn't there a default test going on right now?
There's been some testing that we did a test about 2 to 3 weeks ago now.
We need to do
Um,
another one before we swap to see if anybody needs some shit before then. That's already in.
It
But
probably
last week, Grumpy said we were going to do a test this week during the meeting, so we could. I mean, none of my radios are working anyway, so it doesn't matter for me directly. But
the one thing that happened over here in Baton Rouge, the Marriott is down. The one water worked for about 4 or 5 days and then just stopped and nobody can get into it. So I got to climb back up there and go see what I can do.
Huh.
I don't know what happened. I noticed the battery voltage was about 84% the day before it died.
Mhm.
Maybe the batteries are not charging correctly.
Even then, it shouldn't have dropped like that.
Yeah, it could be the radio might have died.
Possibly. If you need this extra one watt, you can have it. If you
No,
need
I
that- if you
got
need
one
it.
more, and I got
Okay.
the Mesh Smith. Mesh Smith is coming in a couple of days, so I'm looking forward to that one.
You got access to medications in a way no one else did. You got access to for bed linens, which helped him commit suicide. You got access
What's
to a
going on?
sleep machine, which had a long cord. And so Jeffrey
Nola
Epstein,
Ninja,
just
watch
like to
out
make
for
it
not
Nola.
ringing.
There we go.
Hi, Grumpy.
Grumpster is here.
Monday. Like, how can you not be grumpy on a Monday?
That's right.
I mean, I have to find a different excuse for the rest of the week, but Monday's excuse enough.
Don't you only have 2 months left? Or is it August?
No, it's July 1st, but I mean, I'm not retiring. That's just when I'm eligible. That's the real money starts. The double salary starts July 1st.
Ah.
It's really gonna be hard to be grumpy then.
Must be going on a drop.
Going on drop. Shit. They scared of money?
Yeah, what the hell? Regret what?
I guess it's good if you retire right away, but if you start all over again, it probably messes you up some kind of way.
So basically, with my drop, I can retire in July 1st. The sheriff's pension pays you 100% salary and 100% insurance for the rest of your life, the average of your 3 highest years. With the drop we have, basically, every paycheck that I get, there's a duplicate one that goes into a bucket. And if I stay there after 4 years, I get a check for that bucket. Plus interest. And then, plus we doing deferred comp. So if I'm putting in, let's just say, for example, 300 a check, my boss matches that 300 a check. So you're automatically doubling your money. And I've been doing that now for 15 years. So, and again, the longer I stay in drop, the longer that I keep putting into that deferred comp, which is also being invested, it's a pretty big windfall. It almost makes it worth it for the shit you had to put up with for 30 years.
You're saying the crypto mining rig in Laplace is starting up in 4 years?
Shit, no.
Yeah, I heard they reversed that windfall act or whatever it was called.
I wish I would just put my money in Bitcoin like my cousin told me in 2012 and never looked at anything else. Just continuously put in Bitcoin and nothing else. But hindsight's 2020.
But are
Well,
you
people
still
was in,
gonna
like,
work beyond Dewey Fest?
I think it was in like 2003. There was a StarCraft tournament, and the 10th place got like 30 Bitcoin. They weren't worth shit. Pennies.
Well, I mean, everybody knows the story of the guy who paid, what was it, 30 Bitcoin or whatever it was for a pizza or something in 2012.
Hmm.
It was a lot more than 30.
Was it? I don't remember. I just know the story. I just don't know exactly what the number was.
Yeah, that was back when they were pennies. So,
Let's see.
yeah.
Hey, Grumpy, it's Mark.
What's up?
Hey, you still gonna do on Dewey Fest, right?
For 4 years.
Oh,
There you go.
it was
After that, it's somebody else's problem.
5th to 8th place got 25 coins.
What do you do for on Dewey Fest?
I run the whole thing.
You're the whole thing. Oh, gotcha. When is it?
October.
He's the leader. He's our fearless
October.
leader.
If you need any backline or PA or lighting, let me know.
I don't handle that side. The parish handles that side. I'm strictly on the public safety side.
Gotcha. Well,
It seems like every
you
year it
know,
takes more and more public safety to work it. It gets crazier and crazier.
right. Sure. Well, if you can pass my info on, I'd love to get a bid in if it's not too late.
Just email me your info and I'll forward it on to the guy who runs all that. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know how they picked that. With St. John
No,
Parish,
no,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's somebody's nephew's brother's uncle, former roommate, or something like
Right.
that. But
I'm sure. I'm hoping it eventually it'll be, your good buddy DJ.
I was surprised how smooth it went last year with the musical talent that they picked.
yeah, that was crazy. I think it's because everybody listens to Juvenile is a boomer now. So, we're too old to get in fights. You might try to pull a gun out and pull the
Right.
hamstring,
Bruh.
Yeah, they had Juvenile come as one of the musical talents, and it drew record crowds, and there really was no issue.
That's cool.
Either that, or everybody was too hard to do anything. That too.
I mean, I was right in the middle of the crowd with Rose, and I thought we were gonna. I mean, it was amazing how calm it was.
But Scott, I see you sent me that in chat. I know we're getting way off base, but technically we ain't started yet. But there's Booze knows him. There's a guy who was a really good friend of mine. He used to work for the state police. His name was Rick Meyer, and he worked and did his drop and stuff like that. And he finally retired. He did not get his first retirement check. He had, I want to say it was like pancreatic cancer or something, and did not live long enough to get his first retirement check. So everybody, I got people who are trying to offer me jobs right now, like making me, trying to convince me to leave at 30 and come work for them. But I'm like, I don't want to start a whole nother career. Yes, I'm only 50, but these days, especially with my health issues, life's short. I want to go see the world. I want to go to Greece. I want to drive from here to Wyoming and back. And I don't want to work. I got an uncle who worked with the Corps, and then when the Corps made him retire, he turned around and let him come work as a contractor making stupid money. He worked until he was 70 something, and now he's got Alzheimer's. He didn't get a chance to go do shit. And that's just kind of my story. That's what I tell everybody. I want to see life.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. But I don't know what his plans were after retirement, but he was looking forward to it.
Plus, my wife keeps saying that I can't retire because she has 8 years left. And if I think I'm going to be able to sit at home in my boxers with my dog watching Price is Right in the morning while she's at work, I'm stupid. So it's that too.
I mean, I can't think of a better way to go.
619.
That's what I do
619. I
now.
have a AI vacation AI bot that will put together a trip for you, and it has a trip for me for 10 days going to Wyoming back, and I made it make sure it stays overnight in Chugwater one night.
You video wall demo.
Hey, Grumpy.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen this. Yeah, I've seen
What's
this
up?
one or other one similar to it.
All right, so I guess there's nothing to talk about, nothing going on, huh? I'm trying to figure out a way to display this agenda easily, but
Oh, did you make one this week? Very nice.
yeah, I shared it in the general, and I shared it just now in the weekly meet chat. It's basically the same thing as been the last couple of days, and you know. So, like, I wish there was a way it would just display strictly the.
Take a picture of it and then send it as a picture.
It's been a long day.
It'll show up better on the chat.
A screenshot of it will probably work.
Yeah, I think y'all can see it like that. Until I go to playboy.com and I'm like, oh shit.
That's a different Discord channel, right?
Yeah. That's the one that is age restricted. I don't know where y'all want to start at. I know a lot of it's been working behind the scenes. I know Scarlett and her friend, I don't know who he is, but have worked on the beta website. I don't know if, for those who haven't seen it, if Scarlett wants to
Would
put
be
it in
me.
the chat. Who? Jay?
Me,
Well, it looks
Jay.
good, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm open to suggestions. If you guys see something that wants changed, just hit me up. Let me know.
I'll tell you this. I like it. And again, they don't call me grunt. Listen, I can find anything negative in life. If you give me $1 million, or if I want $1 million, I could find the negative that I have to pay taxes on it. So I can find negative anything. I told Dan earlier, I think it's very clean. I like how it looks. I like how it's laid out. For me as a boomer, I'm gonna just go ahead and age myself.
You're not really a boomer though. You might be old, but boomers are like a generation.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what else to say. I'm just an old grumpy man. I don't know. I find it's a little busy. I don't know how we would break it up. I just find it's a lot like on that first page. But again, I like the stuff that's in it. Does that make sense? You know, I don't know if it just I worry that if like me who's been in here for a while, I know what it all means. But if somebody's new to mesh, I just wonder if it's a lot of shit in all at one time. Does that make sense? Does anybody else agree, disagree? You're not hurting my feelings. You know, y'all ask for feedback. I'm just giving feedback.
It takes a lot of information to make it work. So I think
For everyone in here, a link to the beta sites in the voice chat thingy.
Org. That's where I couldn't get it. I guess it ain't that bad.
Also, for me, I'm not really familiar with all the numbers and stuff that you guys have. So if you guys see like number inaccuracies and things like that, let me know so I can look into it.
That
For the
changes
most
daily.
part, everything. So the one thing I did want to show is the setup wizard. I did a little bit of so go ahead.
You stole that from Andy, huh?
Who's Andy? Oh, that's the person that I'm. Sec.
I could tell you whoever made it first used the outdated JSX code.
That was me.
So I went ahead
Sorry.
and updated it.
Yeah, I made it a long time ago. Back when Robbie was still active, and then we lost Robbie.
why do
He
we
called
lose
me today.
Robbie?
Sorry.
Why did we lose Robbie?
We
We
can
changed
discuss
SF.
that offline. Yeah.
10-4.
He called me today asking me about filters. So we found anything. He said the little small round one with SMA connectors burns up. But I said no, we
Yeah.
really haven't found anything.
I texted him earlier just to ask him about trying to install some of these fire department. He didn't answer, but anyway, keep going, Scarlett.
So, just quick thing on the little wizard thing. So for the client, just when you put in a client, it will flash it with our settings by default. So that's on that side. It will just flash a custom binary that has our settings built into it. It just flashes. So, but the main thing that actually is of interest would be the repeater setup. So same thing, you come in here and you can flash your repeater through it. Take a minute to flash, but the main idea behind it is to auto apply all the settings that we use. And then it'll also apply like multi ADC, no TX delay, just because that's too hard to auto apply. But it'll also
Yeah, and that's still in discussion.
yeah, that's a lot of discussion. You can't really have a fixed rate on that. Once this finishes flashing though, to that.
Also, with this little tool here, you can really only use it in Chrome. Any other browser, it
Yeah, Chromium
won't work
based.
very well.
WebKit and Gekium, which is what Firefox is based off of, don't support the web serial protocol. To be fair, though, most people already know that because, yeah, but dark mode, yes.
Yes, there's a dark mode if you click the
Sadly.
thing there. No, hey, listen, I wanted dark mode. Need it.
You and Dan.
The Explorer map?
No, main website. So after you finish flashing the firmware on the wizard, once this finishes, unplug, reconnect, and then come into here. You can put in a location for it. And then what this will do in the back end is it will apply our default radio settings and apply a few other things. And it will also assign it will log your prefix. That way it won't be taken again. And it will log your email to then be stored similar how it is stored with MeshBuddy currently, in case for whatever reason.
Shut the front door. We got a dad jokes channel. Where the shit I been?
Which one? Oh, the hashtag fun channel?
Yeah, I don't know if you're seeing my screen or not. Dude, I didn't know that. We have a dad jokes channel.
Yeah, people post on that all the time. I think how I saw it when someone made that vegan joke on it. It was pretty funny. But, yeah, that's just what me and Jay have been working on for the last little bit, and then a lot of backend changes to hopefully make the backend less sketchy.
Join hashtag on.
Oddly enough, I don't think I have the fun channel. I guess I'm not gonna have
And
fun.
that can mean many different things to many people. That's scary. That's sketch in its own. I can see my wife saying, "Oh, what kind of fun channel is that?" I don't know. Some turtle guy keeps telling turtle jokes. Is he still around?
I will hope that the sexting chat will hopefully stay private.
I haven't shared it with anybody yet.
Okay, thank God.
The Boomer Sexting channel. Where you get your Viagra from?
Blue Chew.
Yeah, all mine's expired in the thing.
Oh, I get mine from Dash BSD.
Preferably from CVS.
Now, CVS is $100 a pill, man. You want the Blue Chew? It's 72 cents.
Not if you got insurance.
It's stupid cheap. Oh yeah, well if you got insurance, fuck it, let them pay it. I'm looking for the funny tag. I don't see it.
It's under the docs, and you can just add it in your MeshCore app.
It's a hashtag channel.
Oh, it's
Hashtag
not.
fun.
It's not a. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like that says,
You mean pound,
hashtag
right?
fun is just for making jokes and having fun.
I wrote that very quickly. I was talking with Dan about it, and then I saw a post on it, and I was like, okay, well, I have to add it to the list. But yeah.
Oh. I'd like to thank everybody who checked on me last week when they thought I was Dorothy and blew away. I just think he was creepy as shit when I said, "Yeah, I'm worried about a tornado going over my house." Then all of a sudden, all the power goes away. But luckily, when you're fat, it takes a lot of wind for that to happen. So it's the positive thing. So I guess I don't know. We don't necessarily have to go down the agenda as far as 1, 2, 3, 4. Does anybody want to discuss anything first before we rip the Band-Aid off, or what?
We're
Rip
just
it off.
ripping it
War,
off and
war
pissing
driving.
off.
I want to hit the war driving first because we spent a couple of hours on that this morning. I'm kind of glad. I think at least as far as us in Lafayette, we're on the same page. I'm hoping that that Manex comes around. I haven't heard anything from him. The guys in Gulfport, Biloxi area. I'm hoping that Gulfport driving area. I'm hoping that they kind of get on the same page as us in Lafayette. But at least in my mind, we did it as painless as possible for everybody else. But basically, between Robbie Bot, I guess Dick Lou is his name, I don't know, and myself, we added to the war driving admin sections a regional, I don't know if you want to call it scope code or whatever. And what this does, if I can make, at least I think I'm explaining this about as simple KISS method as possible, is by them adding a code, me and Pat and whoever else has a high up repeater that does a lot of regional repeating, we can go into our repeater and say block every mesh mapper with that code, text or whatever like that. So therefore, when the guys in Lafayette are war driving, somebody in Slidell won't see Lafayette's war driving, and it won't flood the map, the mesh with it. And then
What is
war
war
driving is
driving?
the app where you're driving around and the app sends out beacons and different things like that to see what repeaters can hear it, and then it maps it out. I'm gonna go to the screen real quick.
Gotcha. So it's a test feature. Gotcha.
It sends
Yeah.
out
If y'all want to check the screen I'm sharing, you could see it.
so DJ, it's essentially sending out messages, and then it looks for either a response from it, or we'll check the MPTT server and we'll look to see if it sees it there, and then when it does, it can then route to figure out your location to know that you get service there, and then what repeaters you went through to be able to log service for areas.
Okay. So there's so many on the
So
streets because that's them driving.
Yes.
And a red square is no repeater in the area. A green square is a repeater. A purple is a client.
It might be multiple repeaters. No, it's how many repeaters it's hearing back.
Gotcha. 10-4. Okay. All right, cool. Thank you for the explanation. I have not heard of this yet. Must have happened when I was in a coma.
So for what Slick said, so this is just for a mesh mapper. So the main thing is if you go to the analyzer and then go to if you go to the analyzer and then go to messages, you can see, or just in the packets, you can see a lot of data being coming through that. Mesh mapper takes up a good portion of the data being used. The goal of this is just to prevent it from coming across the region on those two main repeaters and eating up a ton of bandwidth on them. This won't affect
Gotcha.
normal messages, for what Slick said. And for TJ.
Yeah. So Slick, but still, as far as leaving the region, us putting codes in there or not putting codes in there makes no difference as far as that. Because when I went to Lake Charles, I also entered, the Lafayette zone. And then as I drove and I went to, this is me when I went to Lake Charles and I was doing some ham stuff with some guys. As soon as I entered, like literally, if y'all looking at my screen, as soon as I entered Texas, I then entered the Houston zone. And then, I went, this is all me in Houston. I don't know why I didn't pick up here, but
It did that to me today whenever I was going to Jennings. As soon as I crossed into the Lafayette zone,
yes,
it kicked me out. I had to
and that's why it didn't map all this. I went, for those who are in the ham stuff, I went run POTA. There's a Fort something Sabine or something like that. I don't know, somewhere up in here. And Sabine Pass Battleground. That's where I went first. So I didn't realize it had kicked me out. I thought it automatically rolled into the next zone over, this Houston zone, but it didn't. And then when I realized, oh hell, I was already over here going to another park. And then on the way back to Lake Charles, it picked me back up. So when I went back over here from Texas to the Gulf or Lafayette region, it booted me off. I had to restart it again. And on my way home from Lafayette, I went down here to put this repeater in. I don't know why it's showing one byte, but it is in Franklin. And then eventually, when I came into Morgan City, I had to go swap. I had to go physically join again. So if you're driving from the New Orleans area to Gulfport, it's going to boot you out. You got to start it up again. And when you go from Bay St. Louis into Pensacola, it's going to boot you again. I don't think there's anything you can do to stop it. But like I said, basically what we're doing is the Lafayette region added a code. So instead of us making everybody allow something or deny something, what we're hoping is by Pat adding a denial on One America, Marriott, and me doing that Blue Bonnet, I also added a denial for Lafayette in Laplace and in Livingston Towers. I'm thinking that's going to stop probably 99% of that routing. Whenever I can get into Morgan City, I'm going to stop it there also, because I know there are sometimes some packets that go from Lafayette into the Franklin repeater, then into Morgan City, and then come up their way into Baton Rouge. So I'm hoping that, because I can only get into Morgan City once a week, it seems. And same thing, I created a code for the New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, Gulf Coast zone. And then Lafayette can go and deny it on their repeaters. Therefore, when we're doing mesh driving, it won't flood into them. And if we can get ManX to do the same thing in Gulfport, if he can go make up a GPT code, I can then block it when we start contacting each other back and forth. And we hope that that's, the end of having to worry about that.
How bad has it been as far as the extra traffic from the blasts?
I'm gonna tell you,
like,
you don't know, because you're seeing errors on repeaters, you're seeing collisions and different things like that, but there's nothing that's telling you whether or not it's adverts or anything. What I can tell you is I have been chatting a lot. Like, I'm surprised these guys are answering me, but I have been really leaning on these guys in the West Coast that run all that and stuff like that.
Yeah, the West Coast mesh guys are awesome.
And they're telling me that mesh driving is not as bad as adverts. And I think, Dan, I shared something with you earlier, but basically they tried explaining the amount of airtime between adverts. And look, all these guys, they don't know I'm talking to each other, but they're all saying adverts cause more issues than anything else. But they're saying between adverts and people doing tests and doing tests and doing tests, or the people who are, I'm not calling anybody out, but the people who are driving and typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to see what their friend can see out of that number sequence, that kills the mesh more than war driving does. Because war driving, we're only allowing 3 drivers.
Gotcha. Right. I would do that once in a while just to advertise my in-person mesh meet, just because the mesh wasn't very full at that point. So it was kind of my way of like bridging the gap between antennas. But I wouldn't do that at this point on MeshCore, because there's just enough radios to send it out once. Cool, if you're coming, great. Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think that's bullshit.
But my request was just that passive some areas, especially like the Pacific Northwest guys, they have completely turned hybrid mesh mapping off, meaning it's only passive. And what passive does is basically listens for adverts, listens for people texting, and it's coming across, what repeaters are sending info, and it sends 0 hop transmissions. So you're not flooding the mesh, and they have allowed passive. So what I asked earlier is for people that, like me, 5 days out the week, I'm driving from my house to my office. Same route on Airline Highway, nothing else. There's no reason for me to run hybrid. Like, I can run passive. And if somebody happens to put a new repeater up and it's within the range of my vehicle and the antenna on top of my vehicle, I can run passive and still pick up those new repeaters. So that's all I asked is just to help out the mesh is if you're driving the same route home that you always ride, you drive passive. Today on my way home, I had to go to the West Bank for something, so I drove hybrid. And then when I came back on the East Bank, I put it back on passive just to try to free that stuff up. But I'm going to say this again, it's a mixture of things that's causing some of the issues we're seeing. And according to a lot of people, for some reason, it's not mesh mapping. I don't know what the difference is in the packet size or anything like that, or what's the load of the packet, the package of the packet. But, just trying to free up as much as possible. Anybody got questions about that? Mm-hmm.
I want to welcome a new member in here, Robert Swamphogger. You probably know him. He's a ham. I don't know if he'll talk on here today or not. Grumpy, you know Robert Hobbs?
Yes. I'm trying. I think I am.
Yep, that's you, huh?
I don't know what I did though.
You're in there. So everybody, Robert, he's retired now, but he used to work for the Baton Rouge radio shop, programming radios, fixing radios. He was also the first person to do APRS in the Baton Rouge area. So he ran the APRS network along with me and Matt. So he knows the stuff, and he's just getting into mesh. He has a Meshtastic, and he's flashing it over. Did you get it flashed yet, Robert?
No, I hadn't got it done yet.
Roger. And Robert lives in Sherwood, pretty close to Old Hammond Highway.
Oh, good. There's a repeater right there. You should be able to get out pretty easily.
What?
All right, so let's just run this backwards. How about that? So advert times. Again, guys, I and ladies, look, I'm always learning too, and again, leaning on a lot of different people, and it seems like different mesh communities around the world are setting their advert times all over the place. We saw one where they were doing it at 1.96 hours. Apparently they got some pushback because now they're set down to 40 something hours. I'm not looking at doing anything drastic. What I talked to Robbie about, I don't know if Robbie Bot's even in here, but what I talked to Robbie Bot about earlier, and also Dan, was my confusion in the discussion, is 0 hop adverts even necessary? Because if you're setting on the surface, it looks like if you're setting a flood advert every 23 hours, there's no reason to send a 0 hop advert. However, when you read the fine print, apparently your device does do some, I guess the word is judging on routing, on figuring out what devices to use for routing. Is that what it said, Dan? Do you remember? Something like that. But basically, 0 hops are still necessary. So now I got to go back and change a bunch of mine. But what we're hoping that, again, this is what me and Dan discussed. I know people
So
like,
how often?
to see their stuff advert. I would like to see a 240-minute zero hop and a 23-hour flood, just because it changes that hour every day. In case they got 3 or 4 people, I don't know, doing it around the same time. 23 hours changes it up a little bit. But I'd like to do 23 hours just so I can see that date change every day when I'm looking through my routers and my list and stuff like that. Now, I will say that on a new repeater, I can understand having those times a little bit shorter for, say, 3 or 4 days to give everybody in the mesh time to see your new repeater being installed. So, if you want to do 60 minutes or 2 or 3 hours and then 12 hours or something like that, just to give it enough time to advert around, I mean, I don't really see an issue as long as you do go later and put it to 240 minutes and 23 hours. But there are some repeaters, and on PyMC we can actually see how often, and the analyzer also can show you how often some people are adverting. And like somebody said earlier, there are people adverting every 30 minutes or 60 minutes and stuff like that, direct or flood. 6 could be, was it 1 hour into, 3 hours is the minimum or something like that, whatever the minimum is, 30 hours. But it's showing you that they're doing like 10 adverts a day or something. And adverts take up more time on the mesh, according to what we read, than anything else. So I'd like to hear y'all's feedback on that, because again, this isn't just Grumpy's mesh. I'd like to hear does anybody see an issue going to a 240 by 23 hour? I would like to see Scarlett and Dan add that to the website as recommended settings, because these other meshes have that on their website in their recommended settings. Does anybody see
Go
that?
look at
Or
it.
does anybody have an issue with trying to extend those adverts out? Do y'all see an issue why it might need to be shorter than that?
Well, in areas like where I live, that'll always make it in. Sometimes it didn't make it in when it adverts at 23 hours. That will change.
Yeah, but that just means it's a fringe thing that's probably overloading another repeater anyway.
I'm 35 miles out from the nearest other repeater.
Yeah, I'm saying it's probably somewhere that needs another repeater in the middle anyway. Instead of making a low SNR connection to give errors and whatnot.
But
Personally,
good.
Well, what I'd say is, so 36% of the packets currently are adverts, and I'd say it's dependent on like where your node is. I feel like if we have a few nodes that are on the outside that have higher, maybe 12-hour or maybe higher, I feel like that's fine. But the biggest issue is just nodes that consistently, mostly, hit repeaters. I feel like definitely need to lower. But if you have a repeater on the outskirts, I feel like it's okay to bring that down to something a little higher. It's just what did I say? 36% are currently adverts, and that's from repeaters that pretty consistently hit and could easily be brought to.
Yeah, if y'all look at my
23 hour.
screen, I'm looking at that now. So I got a question. What is control? Is that like me changing
You
settings?
cut out there. Sorry.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was moving my mic. I'm sorry. What is, if you look on my screen, what is control? Is that like?
Sorry, my Discord was completely dead there. If you said something, I apologize.
Mine was dead too. Uh-oh. Hope Discord didn't have issues. All right, I'm gonna try this again for the third time. Maybe Discord's trying to block me for some reason. What is the orange control payload? What is control?
I think that. Go ahead. Sorry.
A quick Google search is saying that's the delivery reports and receipts and all that kind of shit.
Really?
Control packets include delivery routing reports, pathfinding packets.
Yeah, so if you pop over to like the packets page and the one that are also in orange, it looks like that data, even though it marks it as a direct message, it looks like if you go in, that is just can't think, like message receipts and everything. If you go into the decipher of the packet, because that packet right there isn't actually carrying a direct message, so that looks like it is just carrying receipts and other data.
But not that I'm jumping into my next subject, but again, a lot of this is going to be fixed or heavily improved by going to default, because
Yes.
default's got a quarter of the time transmission.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to solve collisions and shit though, because it's going to be the same stuff happening in shorter amount of time.
It's definitely not going to completely solve it, but it's going to help. I don't feel like currently it's worth changing like TX delay and that sort of thing until we're able to collect data on default. Because yes, default won't solve it, but it will give us it will give us data on how much it helps, and we can even see that on the like the IMC repeaters and everything.
Right. Because also the time in the delay is mathed down for the slots that SF7 would take up. So the math is just there for that anyway. And then it'll cut the fringes off but clean up the proper connection. So then like the things now, like mine up there says like 16 neighbors. I shouldn't have 16 neighbors. It's just a house. It's just
And we're doing default on
That's on that.
Friday, Dan said, right?
Say what?
Dan said what? Wait, what did Dan say?
Dan said default on Friday, I heard.
That's
I mean,
what
I
Dan
didn't say
wants.
it, but there's a couple words I'll let you
throw
put now.
Dan's.
That's a
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about it in a second before half the people quit. That's why I'm hitting that one last. I'm just looking at this hash size distribution and stuff. We don't have that many repeaters on 1 byte still.
That may be the amount of data they're sending. Let me take a look at that.
So if you see your repeater on here,
Shame. Public shame. Public.
Oh,
I mean-
okay. So remember that also maybe clients. So for the hash size, that may be clients sending things that are still on 1 byte, not repeaters. So
And we
that
still
is-
got people that are not on Discord.
Yeah. And then one other thing on that, I am starting to taking notes during these meetings, hopefully. I'm gonna start posting that on the Facebook and a few other things, hopefully to try to help it out. Not sure by how much that will help, but hopefully we'll see.
I'm not trying to publicly shame anybody. I'm just, the box just keeps going away.
Well, just
No,
yeah.
Krabby, you said you had the same issue I had with one of mine. You've tried to change the 2 byte, didn't you? And it won't go, or you don't have a chance to. See, I know like some of the guys in
So-
Lafayette, they've told me they've installed these repeaters in places they can't currently get to for some reason. So they're still like on 1.12 and 1.13. So until they can get to their repeater to update it to 1.15, they're stuck on 1 byte. So I'm just telling myself that a lot of these people are having that same issue, and that's why we've got so many people on 1 byte.
So
That's
one
totally
other thing.
my problem.
So one other thing is if you're on 14.0, there was a bug on the initial 14 when 2 byte 3 byte came out, where it will occasionally, even if it sets correctly, will occasionally send 1 byte adverts out. It will show you a warning if you go to your node on the analyzer, but just if you know you're on 14.0, update to 14.1 or update to 15.
Dan, have you ever got to Wilmer? Wilmer's dead. Don't you go?
At all. Like I couldn't ping it. I couldn't log into it from the driveway. Like I could have probably climbed up and touched it, but it wouldn't let me in.
I think it's. Well, I think one of y'all to contact the old man and tell him that I'm gonna come out there with a bucket truck and don't come out running outside with a shotgun. it would suck to be looking at retirement and get shot by some old man in a bucket truck.
Got to be in uniform.
And then some people, no. I need to last. I lasted this long. I ain't getting in trouble. And then he's on 3-bite.
Yeah, I think a few people went on 3-bite by a
accident.
mistake of the. Yeah.
You just gotta read.
Well, I turned off the adverts and the repeat function on my one bite Algiers one, and that's only because I can't reach it. But Dinky earlier today on Discord kind of gave me an idea that I'm gonna work on something if I can do it. But aside from that, 70 feet up, and I can't get a Bluetooth, and it's a rack, and so that's that, and it won't die, obviously. So it's like, what the hell? I did something right.
Get a drone.
Get the shotgun.
I
Yeah,
do
like
have a
I cringe at the amount of because one time we were all talking about them are the people that put up the P1 Pros, because you got to get close enough for Bluetooth. I installed 2 of them over the weekend, but both of them in spots that I could stand right underneath them and get Bluetooth. So
there are directional Bluetooth antennas, and for people that have antennas, it may be worth doing that, or doing what I think other people have suggested is strapping something to a drone and updating it like that.
How do you Bluetooth it to the like? I'm just trying to figure out the logistics. If you got the thing up on top of the pole, and then your phone is too far away from it on the ground, do you fly your phone up to it? Then how do you tell your phone what to do?
How I would do it is I have a Linux-based phone, and I can just SSH into it over cellular. So I just pop in and then do it over cellular. How
that's
normal
an
people
advanced
would
level 3.0 shit.
how people would do it,
It's
I'm
not that hard.
Well,
I do it.
Jay.
I have just regular
you know,
Android.
Jay, do you remember what we talked about earlier?
Yeah, whatever. Hey, quick question. Why can't we put Wi-Fi on these things? Wi-Fi goes a lot further.
These are
Well,
NRF
V4 has
boards.
Wi-Fi.
NRF 52 boards don't support the Wi-Fi codec. Well, not codec. It doesn't have the hardware on board to be able to handle it. A lot of devices are still made with a lot of reasons for NRF, just because the power consumption is so much less, and NRF hardware just physically can't do Wi-Fi.
Can we not use like Raspberry Pis or
Pis are
something?
way too high. Even ESP32s use a lot of power, and some of these repeaters, that is a lot of power, especially when you're considering them. They're made to never fail. Well, never fail until the batteries fail on them.
Some of us are using Heltec V4s, and you have the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi port. If you get the one with no display, so I just put the an antenna on the bottom, and
Yeah,
you can
it's just
still hit that 200 or
your power
300 yards away,
consumption.
300 feet away. Yeah.
Your power consumption.
But I don't have that problem. I guess I'm just in the minority there. I don't have the power. Like I know some of y'all are making like the little, call them handmade or homemade repeaters, but I guess they're all homemade. But the little, like in the solar lights and stuff. So you can't put a big battery or a big solar panel on it. So I can understand. I guess I can understand
Yeah.
the dilemma. But me putting them on a $20 outdoor box, I'm putting a 10-watt solar panel with it. Now I'm using the batteries, the 21700s or whatever like that. So you're putting 12,000, 13,000 milliamp hour batteries in there. Like I built one Friday, the one that's called Firehouse or whatever, and it sat in a dark closet all weekend, and it's still today at like 79%.
Yeah, and for that type of repeater, it's a lot different. I think mostly here I'm talking about like what people are throwing up very quickly, like cheap little lights or that
Tree
sort of thing.
repeaters.
Yeah, tree repeaters, like even a big battery, big solar panel on a tree repeater, just it being in trees, you get so little sun. Well, depending on the season, especially right now, you get so little sun that even if you have big solar panel, big battery, it will die, and you either need NRF or have to use power saving, which power saving does have its downsides, but upside is, you use a lot less power.
619 has a good idea. He says when you go to the website, put a top red bar saying, if you have a node installed, make sure you update the 2-byte. I would add to the red bar that Dan says we're going to default on Friday. So everybody could say they had a heads up.
I mean,
What do we have on
Friday's
this
22.
agenda?
You put 25. That sounds good to me.
Well, I didn't put 25. I was
Good
talking
part for
about
the
we
weekend.
I didn't have enough notice.
Yeah, I guarantee you, we could put this till 2027 and somebody didn't have enough notice. What? So, are we good for advert times? Does anybody disagree with the 240 over 23? Again, if you have a special situation like Pat, I mean, listen, guys, we're not. It's not like we're going to kick you off the mesh or fine you. We're just putting some recommended settings just so everybody can kind of help each other out. But if you put 20 hours, we're not going to call you out. It's just trying to come up with something all together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Mm.
if you're far if you're far away, I feel like it's fine. But if you know you're consistently hitting a repeater, preferably please drop it down.
Yeah. If they had 1 gram of gold, I'd be taking them down myself. I'd call them all broken and say, we gotta strip them, all 60 of them. So let's just keep going backwards on our agenda. Tower updates. So, just to show you how confusing life is, I know it seems like we've been talking about the Washington Parish Tower since January, which it might have been since January. And then first we had a date planned, and then it was supposed to rain. Then we had to postpone it because the bracket that they got was too heavy. Well, I got an email from him last week. He doesn't know how it happened, but somehow the box got filled with rainwater.
I think that repeater is cursed.
So that repeater is cursed, which gives me the opportunity to accept more donations, but I'm going to build the repeater for the Washington Parish Tower. Don't put holes on top. I'm going to build the repeater for the breather holes are supposed to be on the bottom. But I am going to build the repeater for Washington Parish Tower, put the bracket that I've been using for every other tower that I have been building for, put, not putting 16 batteries in it, and I'm going to try to arrange a date for the tower to get installed. Now, before anybody gets excited, we were supposed to do the Thibodeau Tower this Saturday. If anybody has not seen the rain, by next Monday, you're probably going to need an arc to get to work because it's supposed to start raining Tuesday until Wednesday and not stop until the next Wednesday, which means there will be no tower climbing going on, which means we're already putting the Thibodeau back a week. Which puts us on the 30th. I got stuff at work that they need to do on the 6th, and so you might be looking at the 13th. I know that's probably not what some people want to hear, but hey, the guys in Mississippi in that area, it's still better than what the news was last week that the tower was postponed indefinitely. Now, I'm going to work with the guy and see if he might be finally getting his own tower stuff because he's supposed to be getting tower stuff done for hurricane season, and hurricane season starts in 2 weeks. But I'm gonna work with Mr. Jim over there and see what we can work out. Either my tower climber going there or his tower climber. But it's not good news that Robbie built a repeater that's now submerged. But in the whole scheme of things, it works out, if that makes sense. Anybody got questions on that? They already bought an antenna. They bought the Comet, was it KP40 or KP20, KP40, which is the 7 or 8 foot monstrosity, but it's supposed to be a very damn good antenna. Somebody else was using one. I don't know if they're in here, but it's a damn good antenna. That's 7 or 8 feet. I hope so. So they already have the antenna, so I just got to make the box, which I don't mind because the antenna is what costs the most. Any questions? Moving on. The repeater, if you haven't seen an advert, the repeater for New Orleans has been ready, sitting in my office also in the closet. That thing's got like 6 batteries, 21700s at 5500 milliamps each. So it's got a little bit of juice. I think after this weekend, it's still at like 80%, so 90%.
Is it still gonna be called boobs?
No.
Darn
I
it.
think that joke has ran its course. I mean, it's always going to have the hex ID as it's not boobs, it's B00B, but
That's boob, dog.
that's the hex ID at least. But I don't know. But anyway, what's going on with that one is they ordered repeaters and microwave shots, and the Ubiquity shit that they ordered for microwave is back ordered. And if you know anything about Ubiquity, it can be in next week or next year. So I'm trying to find out from the tower climber. I mean, I'm sorry, wherever this is going, exactly what dish are they are they waiting on for Ubiquity to see if I can source one locally, and they can just replace it whenever it comes in. So I'm waiting on that information back. But
Is it a Ubiquity dish or a unified dish? Like, is it a part of
well, that's
UISP?
That's not the same thing.
Well, it's same company, but like
I've always looked
different
at all the
brands.
same thing.
It just
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to find out. I've kind of always lumped that together, but yeah. I've been waiting for their Omni antennas to get back in stock for like months now. I've given up on it. But anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I can't give you an ETA. They could call me tomorrow and say, "Hey, our stuff's in. We need that repeater," or it could be another 2 months. I hope not, but we'll see. Anybody have any questions on boobs? I told you about Thibodeau, 300 foot. Greensburg, I don't see the little boy in here. Pat, have you heard from Luke?
I have not. I've
He
not
got
heard
a new
from Luke.
girlfriend down my street.
That's right.
I'm about to put
He's
some
got a new
stop
woman.
sticks in front of my house and let him run over those. Yeah, it's funny how these youngsters, either all into mesh and radios and stuff, and then they find themselves a new girlfriend, and now he ain't got. You don't hear him on the radio no more. You don't hear him nowhere.
The real solution here is to get a girlfriend that's into radio.
There you go. It's a unicorn. But I talked to him, and I talked to him over the weekend and asked him about Greensburg and one of the fire towers or something, and he was waiting on somebody to call him back, and he was trying to get in touch with somebody else and stuff like that. And then Pat, you said you're waiting on St. Francisville.
Yeah, waiting on hear from Jake when we can go install Star Hill. Radio's ready. Antenna's ready.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it's gonna talk St. Francisville, New Roads, all that. False River. Make a connection back into Baton Rouge because we're blocked. Jackson's blocked by the state capitol from One American.
If y'all looking at my screen, you can see where St. Francisville is. It's Star Hill in St. Francisville or in that? It's not close to the Tunica, is it?
It's exactly behind the nuclear power plant.
Hopefully
we'll get
south of St. Francisville.
It's a little bit before St. Francisville, a little closer to Baton Rouge. St. Francisville's got some big trees, so I don't know how well actually St. Francisville will work, but it's on top of a big hill overlooking the Mississippi River, and it can see really good down into New Roads, and Morganza, False River, Rugon, all them areas down there, it can see really good.
Well, my other hunting place is right here, so
Your stream is not up.
No, it says
Nope.
it's up.
It
Can anybody else
says.
see it?
I'm gonna try again. Maybe it's my side. Here it is. Nope.
I see it.
Okay, I see it now.
Okay. But yeah, my hunting area is in here, so that's a little bit of a hike. But anyway,
You got any hills over there in that hunting
Nope.
area?
Nope, tall trees.
Nope. No hills either, huh?
Nope. Oh, all right. So, everybody's been in anticipation. So, default. I know this is going to go over well, like a fart in church. Dan would like to see default start next Monday, just because we want to see how much that improves collisions, airtime on repeaters, start messing with some of this TX delay that a lot of other regions are doing. That the TX delay, for those who don't know, offsets the time a little bit. I don't want to really get into weeds too much on that. I think that's some hocus pocus voodoo, but I'm sitting that one out. I'm letting Dan and Scarlett handle that one. But again, some other regions did TX delay, for those who have seen. That's really helped out. But the TX delay you would do now will be completely offset when you go to default. Also, it would help us kind of know where we have holes at to help. We don't want to lose anybody, of course. We know some people are not going to be fans of this, but I just don't see what the difference is if we wait 2 more weeks or 1 week. I have to make sure I say this correctly, and everybody please pay attention to this. I have already started putting I'm scared to say this because last time I said this, everybody swapped. But I have started already putting a few of my repeaters on default, including the new ones. Any new ones I put out from this point on are going to be on default, only because I am up to 30 something repeaters that I am dealing with. And I learned the other night when we tried putting stuff on default, everything doesn't switch over the first, second, third, or fourth time sometimes. And I just don't want to be here dealing with this shit. So y'all tell me kind of,
I'm good with it.
I know that. I don't know, man. Like I should make some comments. I understand that.
Can I say something for you, Grumpy?
I'm not happy with the way certain things went down in other regions, but in the long run, they beat us to it, and it works. How about that? Can I say that? But yeah, like I got 40 freaking repeaters that I'm going to swap out the NASA. Not NASA. I'm going to swap out Fort Macomb with a 1 watt to try to help, But again, Mississippi right now is using default. They swapped the Mississippi coast. Let me rephrase that. Has already swapped all the repeaters to default. Talked to Lafayette, at least one person. They didn't really see an issue with the difference between now or June 1st. Again, I'm trying to give as much heads up as possible because, like you said earlier, somebody will say you didn't give us enough time. I know Scarlett's going to put it on the website. We're going to put it in the announcements. I'm going to put it in the news channel on the Mesh Core, but I'm sure somebody's going to say they didn't see it. All right, I'm sorry. Somebody had something to say?
So with me, I'm not representing the entire whole of Covington. I'm representing myself and my opinion only. But I had Meshtastic and I did Meshcore when I first started this. Hell, it's only been a couple months ago, and I consider myself, frankly, tech savvy with using technology and all that. And if it wouldn't have been for me finding the sites and the discords and all this, I probably would have stayed on the default settings and would not have seen anything, and probably got very pissed off that nothing was going on here. But luckily, I did find these sites and found out y'all weren't running on default, and I followed around. I can see where people up here, some people may not be as tech savvy and may start it up and go to default and be like, oh, there's nothing up here. I'm not going to do this anymore, and just give up on it. So by going to default, we may get more people that may just, hey, let me turn it on and see and find something. And holy shit, there is a connectivity up here, and it may boost some stuff. I don't know. So that's my 5 cents.
Mr. Henke, I could give you a virtual high five if possible, because I have that same thing happened to me. Is when I first got into Mesh Core sometime in January, I was on Meshtastic first, went to Mesh Core. That is when I couldn't connect to hardly anything on default, and the same thing happened. And then that's when Scarlett and back then Robbie talked about going to SF11. And my argument to them was people who are new to this, kind of like I was, or if they're coming into the area, we don't know how many people have come down here, like going to New Orleans, big tourist place, who might have Mesh Core, who come down here and they're on default right now saying they ain't not knowing here. Now, what we do hope is that some people would go to the Mesh Core map and see, and that's kind of what I would do but that's not accurate either, because Mesh Core map still says half our repeaters are on SF11. But I do, one thing I want to say, or a couple things I want to say, continuing that on, is that we have read in several different, and speaking to some people who have also made this switch, the sooner you can just rip off the Band-Aid and then fill in. And for our friends that are having trouble connecting, we try to help them out as best as possible, donating repeaters or trying to find a spot for them to put a repeater or something like that. We're not going to forget about those people, but the distance cutoff, the drastic difference cutoff, or whatever difference there was between SF11 to SF9 is not as bad. I'm not saying it's not the same, but it's not as bad going from SF9 to SF7. The biggest thing we're looking forward to is that, if I'm not mistaken, I failed college math, but default uses 25% of the airtime that SF9 does. So you're going to get quicker, and that's quicker that messages can get through, whether they're mesh mapping messages or people on private channels and stuff like that we don't see. That's all getting pushed through faster. And again, I know it's not going to go over very well with some people. I know, like even Pat, it's people like that I feel bad for, because they put a lot of effort into this. And Pat, who can barely get in now from Jackson, is going to have issues. I understand that, but no matter when we swap, somebody's going to have issues. And we've always said the goal was getting back to default. So I think just the sooner we can just do that, I think the better. But I would like to see, my plan is to start probably Sunday, just start moving stuff over. And on Monday, at some point, call it noon, call it 10 a.m., I will then move over to Livingston, the Laplace, and at least my Baton Rouge site, but giving enough people time who have to use those sites to bounce to a repeater that they may own, several miles away. I don't want to move those first, if that makes sense. I'll move those last. So
it's the right way to go about it. You got to work
KJ5 HTB. He says, like, he don't see the big deal to make a change in setting. It ain't that it's a big deal. What the problem is that some people right now who are on the fringe, who have rightly so, have put money into this, building repeaters and trying to help the mesh out, could possibly be cut off We tried testing this out the other night, and the people who could still connect, some people found it went through faster. Some people found they had a better connection. Some people, like Pat, couldn't connect at all. It's yeah, you on the fringe. Um, my hope was to be able to get some of these repeaters up that we keep talking about. I'm waiting on a phone call back from Mandeville Fire. They keep saying they want to put one up, but every time I call them, the guy's busy. And there's another guy with St. Tammany Fire who said we can use some of their sites and put stuff up. And when I call him, it goes to voicemail. But yet he's telling other people he's interested. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But we just start filling in, like Brandon said. Like Brandon and them is the ones I really felt the worst about. No disrespect to Pat, but they're really already on an island on I-59, and it's kind of like we're just pushing that island further away now. And I really felt bad for them. I'm hoping Washington Parish Tower is a miracle worker. We'll have to see, but. And I feel bad for Scarlett. She's going away now on vacation for a week with no cell phone because she said whenever we do this, she's going away. So apparently everybody contacts her, crying and bitching. But
The June 1st would work out pretty well because I have a surgery, but this new date's going to cause some issues.
When are
yeah,
you
because
leaving, Scarlett?
Because you'll be in town. That's why it's gonna cause issues.
Scarlett, when you leaving?
I'm not. I had a surgery the week that we were going to do the switchover, so that was the joke on that. I will be in town.
Okay.
Scott says I won't feel bad by not connecting on default because he's not connected now. That's good.
Hey, watch it start working for Scott once we go to default.
Well, Scott's going to be, again, I need the fire guy to return my calls, but Mandeville says we can put one up, and he is very close to the first fire. I picked out the first firehouse. They happen to have a Roan tower on the side of their building, and it's like right across the street from Robbie and right down the street a little ways from Scott, but I'm hoping that he can get one up. Of course, he lives right across the street from another firehouse, but they have no tower at all. Nothing to hang a repeater from. But
Are they even a real fire station then?
I guess they're all digital. I don't know. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, how do you not have a tower? But anyway,
I guess once they're on the 700 megahertz, they didn't need a tower anymore. They used to all be on
like
VHF.
Fire still has VHF paging still, so they have a
Right.
VHF radio with a Roan tower at every location.
Scarlett, I want to ask you, since you got to work on the brand new Pi Mesh from the Smith guy, what did you think of it?
It was good. Build quality is good. PoE module works fine. It's sitting here running. SMA connector is a lot nicer. It doesn't slip off when you're working with it. I haven't got to test the performance very much, just because I just don't have good coverage in this area. But
Right.
In terms of just local testing, it seems to be pretty good. Reception's good. Like I'm able to pick up just fine. It seems pretty good. I guess the bigger test will be once you deploy it and seeing how it handles.
Right.
But at least just from my testing, it seems like a good device, especially for its pricing.
Perfect.
Light up a fire in front of his firehouse. Oh, this is the IT guy for the fire department. He might not even go on fires. I don't know.
I can tell you as an IT guy myself, no, we don't go into fires.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We will show up after the fire, however.
When it's time to take the pictures, huh?
With marshmallows, right?
That must be the rural people, the fucking slab savers out here.
Slab savers. As a former traffic cop, I like to call them the crime scene eradication team.
One day you got to tell us some stories of some of the people you pulled over.
I pulled over. If any of y'all watch Avengers, Falcon or the new Captain America, and I wanted to write him a ticket just so I could say I had his autograph. Anthony Mackie, he was cool as
Right.
shit. The dude that was the beer man for the Saints years ago. What was
The
his
Duff
name?
Beer Man?
No. They used to call him the beer man. They hired him off the Budweiser truck, and he was the one that was breaking the records for all the kick returns and stuff for a while.
That'd have been cool if it'd been the Duff Man from The Simpsons, though.
But no, we used to call the fire department the crime scene eradication team because we'd go work fatalities and stuff, and you're trying to look for all your skid marks and all your grind marks in the ground and all the stuff like that, and you couldn't find it because there was 3 inches of beach sand on top of it.
Did you ever have anybody claim to be a surrogate citizen and they didn't have to have a driver's license?
No, we had those sovereign citizens that killed our 2 guys in 2012 because they were getting pulled over, so they pulled out an AK-47 and laid one down, and then they went to their trailer park, and we didn't realize it. And people called in a reckless driver in the trailer park. We went out there, knocked on the door. They came out with the AK-47 and dropped 2 more deputies.
I watched the guy that Fridays with Frank. He's always getting a surrogate citizen. He just shakes him out of the car and puts him in the back of the police car.
Oh. Well, anybody got any new stuff to discuss? I thought that went over way better than I thought it was. I carved out another hour for this.
The one water that I put up at the Marriott stopped working. Got it the old repeater to bring back up there and see what happened to it. I don't know if a battery failed or shorted out or what. And it's got 21-700s in it.
We were talking last week. I brought up the towers between Baton Rouge and Lafayette. The one that's at the Chapalaya Basin, and there's one in Iberville Parish. Talk about putting repeaters up there, but somebody on the call wasn't on the call that could help answer that question. And Grumpy, you weren't
That
here?
would have been Sammy. Yeah, that would have been Sammy. He's not on here today either. I think he's sick.
Shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're on
Yeah, the
about
ones that don't have really anything on it has like traffic cam on it in
I don't know if y'all
Iberville,
heard
and
me if I
then
cut out the
there's
first time. Shit. DOTD. Good God bless you. They're gonna want to know everything in the box, the weight, and then they're gonna want you to do an engineering study on it to make sure that your 7-ounce box is not going to cause a wind load to rip it down.
Matt said that they're backing off on that now.
No.
On the wind load study.
That's because of me. I called somebody very, very high up. What the deal is as long as we remove something of equal or greater weight off the tower, then we are allowed to put the stuff for our project with GOSEP with Matt on it. That's the only way. That's
like
the only way we
Florida.
can get. Each one of these towers has old microwave stuff on it that from call boxes or whatever that needs to be removed. So as long as we are removing something that weighs equal or greater than whatever we are trying to put up, then we can bypass the study. You know,
That's kind of like Florida's undevelopment plan. It's awesome.
so
Yeah,
the
when we
thing
did
on the
plan.
because on the towers with the cameras, I was trying to put one of our sheriff's cameras on it, not Flock, and I was told that good luck. So
When we did Manchac, we removed probably about 15 of the old call box 70 megahertz antennas. Wish I'd have kept those antennas.
Why would 7 ounces make any difference at all?
basically, it's
Guy doesn't know any.
Yeah, basically, it's that they don't want to cooperate, but that's their
Yeah, it's
excuse that
fine.
they don't look like a-holes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Everybody needs
Eh,
something to blame
I think that's what we think it is. But again, it's also you have people who don't really understand. And I'm sure part of it's liability too. Because let's say one day the pole does fall because of bad foundation or something. You think they're gonna eat that, or you think they're gonna try to blame it on the third party equipment that's up there?
mm, I don't like the bureaucracy around that.
Oh, trust me. If if you knew who the people I had to call, luckily my neighbor is dating somebody who is high up in the administration there, and it took. Not that I'm trying to swing anything. Don't take it the wrong way, but it shouldn't have been that hard. They had a handshake agreement years ago. What I just said, and then new people came in and said, "We're not honoring that no more. We want an engineering study for each tower." We had like 10 towers lined up, and then all of a sudden, what happens is, I make a phone call, talk to my guy. My guy goes to talk to somebody high up at DOTD. He says, "What the hell happened?" Blah, 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 that, and I get a phone call saying, "Oh no, we never said that. As long as you take off," I'm like, "Just don't, bro." Like, I was in the meeting. It's not what y'all said. But anyway, that's not about mesh. But anyway, so I don't see that happening.
It was a thought whenever I was driving back from Jennings the other day, and then again today. Where it was like, there's
Oh, I
really,
saw it.
yeah, there's
I
really
saw
nothing
it.
on the. There's one in the tower on the Atchafalaya. It's got some cell towers on it, but that one in Iberville, it's just traffic cam, and there's nothing else at the top.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I
Nobody
looked at is,
knows.
some of these interstates, some of these areas have the really high, super tall lights where it's just lights up there with a box with a magnet on it and accidentally flew too close. I ain't saying it's gonna stay up there for 3 years, but I bet,
No one would ever know.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just saying, like,
Because there's a
hypothetical,
couple of those in
like in
Baton Rouge.
California. Now, I would never suggest putting one on a water tower. 'Cause I think that's gonna alert a couple of 3-letter agencies, and I think that I've always said that's not a good idea. But on a
I've
light
always
tower,
wanted to meet some
the
of those.
3-letter agencies.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting on them to
Yeah.
show up all my life.
Yeah.
Jay, didn't they already show up once?
We ain't gonna talk about that.
They showed up at one of my tower sites. The 3-letter agency showed up at one of my tower sites.
Well, the FCC came and found me during Hurricane Ida, and there's nothing worse than calling your radio comm guy who just installed a repeater up in emergency and say the FCC's here and the EOC they need to speak with you, and you're like, I'm going the other direction. But basically, they said, with the emergency declaration for Hurricane Ida, you got open plane to do whatever you want.
Well, that's in
So-
the FCC rules anyway, ain't it? I've been
Yeah,
studying
but
for it. I
but,
ain't
but,
took
but yeah,
this
but
to.
FCC guy actually comes down. You talking about ham stuff, but this is like more broader than that. And I'm like, when the FCC actually comes down and gives you that blessing, I think that's one of the 3 times I've ever seen the FCC get off their ass and do anything.
We had the FCC show up with the FAA at a building site that had a tower on top of it, and they said it was too high. And he reached out with his laser and measured it. It says 199 to me. Thank you, guys. And left. I'm like, whew, that was close.
We had them come to my office because Ubiquity's 5 gigahertz equipment allows the same frequency that New Orleans International Airport's radar frequency is. So when you have a microwave dish pointed in that direction, even though it's a free frequency you're allowed to use, DFS frequency, they'll come knock on your door. Like, yep, no problem, man. I'm moving that frequency right now.
Back in the 70s, a bunch of CBers had the FCC show up at their door.
Um, there's got to be something else to talk about. I know I'm gonna think of a bunch of stuff.
I got
So
some.
I do have that. Okay, you go ahead, cause
All right. I know there was some talk about observers and firmware for like V4 or whatever. I was reading. I think it was over in the Lafayette area that they were working on getting a firmware set up with everything already in it and ready, and then you just splash it and hook it up and let it rock. Is there is there any plans for setting up something l-
Are you
like that in our area?
are you referring to like setting up like a ESP32 based device and then having it run MQTT on device to output? Is that what you're referring to, or are you referring to
Yes,
having a
yes.
yes, I believe that would be possible. I believe that would be possible, and yeah, I could set something that up, set something similar to that up within this week.
Yeah, I mean, that would make it easier, so you're not having to run it on a computer or a Pi or whatever. I mean, you still have to have internet, obviously, but having a pre-built uh, flash ready with all of our setup in it, minus your name and a few little adjustments, would make it easy if anyone in this area was interested in setting up another one. So that's all I had there. So
no movement from the Ham Club, huh?
negative. I haven't heard a whole lot. We had the whole house replumbed last week, and then getting sheetrock redone, and it's a disaster here. I haven't made my way out, or I haven't had a hold of Mike yet. Um, I'm working on trying to get. There's a 250-foot long lines tower in Wilmer. Uh, and I'm working on trying to get a hold of Pete and find out if he still has the lease on it or access or whatever. If I can get the go ahead, I'll be setting one up on that one. And then I have the hardware here to put together for Kentwood. I just have to assemble it and actually hand it off and let Don uh get with whomever and have it installed up there on the right there at the exit. So other than that, not a whole lot else up my way.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get something in Hammond to close that gap. I know they got some big gaps in Hammond, so I think something high up in Hammond would really help.
Yeah, if we can get one on that North Oaks, that would be nice. If North Oaks does not work out, we always have that I think it's 150 right there at the substation. That's always an option. And it's open. There's nothing on it. So
Seems like everybody's coming out with their own analyzer, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Because that's what I was looking at right here. This is that wave one I was telling you about last night.
Hmm.
And this is Tree Hopper, them dealing with this, the same guys that did Pi MC. And they're trying to eventually merge all this stuff together, this wave thing. I still don't know what the, I know it's still in beta or whatever it is. So it's, and I still only have one of my observers showing up on it. I don't know. I don't know what's
Is the Baton Rouge one still not showing up on it?
still not showing up.
Let me take a look now.
I looked at it. The settings look identical. So he's wondering if they have their security too tight and it's thinking it's a spoof, spam, duplicate
Ah,
because it's all coming from which makes no sense to it just because it's coming from the same, because if I did one and Mike does one, we're going to have the same settings. It's being
yeah.
MSY and everything else is going to be the same. So that doesn't mean it's a spoof, or whatever you want to call it. So, but it just seems like every time you turn around, somebody's got a new analyzer, this
Yeah,
core scope
it's
one and something else. And it doesn't really matter, I guess, because you're pushing that stuff from the observer side to servers. It's not like it's coming all across the mesh, right?
yeah, it's not the worst thing. I feel like it makes more confusion. I don't know.
Yep.
Hello, this
But
is
I'm gonna tell
Travis
you,
from Texas.
go ahead, man. You go ahead.
I just want to say hello, and I was wondering what flavor of analytics you're preferring on your end.
I'm
Hello.
gonna tell you, like right now, what I was saying earlier is like I know a lot of people. Can you hear me?
Hey, TJ.
Hello? Hello?
Huh?
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Like I know some people like the analyzer. The problem to me with the analyzer is if you don't look at the screen exactly when something's happening, you kind of miss it live. Maybe I'm just slow and old, but I kind of prefer the original Explorer one. Like, I mean, it's cool. Like that meeting I'm doing at the end of the month with all the different public safety agencies all at one place at the end of this month. Oh God, I got to work on that PowerPoint. I just had a panic attack. Like I actually took a couple of snippets from the busier times and I'm making all one big video so everybody can see it ping ponging everywhere. But I kind of like the Explorer version, if that makes sense, because it hangs out longer. Does that make sense? Like it's
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense, and I even talked about that on Jay when we were doing the site design. It's just Analyzer, I feel, is better for in-depth analysis.
yeah.
Can't speak English, sorry. And it gives you a little bit more accurate reading. Explorer is better for when you're just trying to see if repeaters are in your area, or just show traffic is coming along because the time on it is much longer than it actually is.
Yeah, like
The
this one's almost too long, where the other one is too short. If that makes sense, like if somebody sends an advert out, it makes it seem like the advert's going for like 20 seconds, and it's like it's not. But
Yeah, if you want, I can shorten that slightly because I've done quite a bit of changes to the Explorer side. Like if you go to /embed, I added that for the website, but you can, if for whatever reason you needed to embed something.
I'll tell you what, Lafayette's about to pass us up in repeaters.
Folks Dockerizing this stuff?
That would be me.
Okay.
It's all currently running in Docker. I want to move it all to K8s, K3s, and then move it to be a little bit more reliable. But this was all done when we were a lot smaller, and I never expected to have to see it
I'll say
being
though,
used as
Docker
much.
is pretty chill
I don't.
because
Yeah,
Docker allows
but
you to move it from server to server. That means
yeah, but I do K8. I use K8s properly in other proper deployments, and it does kind of feel weird having this sketchy of a setup for something being used. I'd like to move it all to a proper, probably K3s. I prefer K3s, and then setting up K3s with probably Argo. But it's a mix of doing it and having that slight downtime, and then also no one else, well, reasonably speaking, the people that do have access to it wouldn't know how to maintain it. So if anything were ever to happen to me, it'd be kind of left in a storm. That's why I haven't moved it to K3s and then used Argo to make it a little bit more streamlined and make it a little bit more reliable. But yeah.
Sure, thank you.
I remember when I got my first Atari 2600 back in the 80s. I was so excited. Then I moved to Nintendo. That's about the best I can compete with that conversation y'all just had.
You just dated yourself bad, bruh.
I know, dude, but I'll
Aw.
never forget. Dude, if y'all need me to VLAN some shit, I can VLAN and network some shit. But that's about as deep as it gets on the. I can do the networking side, but all that programming and shit y'all just talked about, I'm like, dude, send me the script and I'll load it. That's about. It's just weird how IT can just have so many of these different facets, and what y'all just talked about was complete. Like, I know what a Docker is, don't get me wrong, but like that's why, like, Scarlett kept asking before, like, somebody take this over, and I'm like, sweetheart, I think you're stuck. Don't go nowhere. I think you're stuck because, like, I mean, I know some of these guys know way more IT type stuff than I do, but you're at a different level. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is just documentation, right? Like that's a core IT principle. So even if it's running on Docker, even if it's running on that other platform, as long as it's documented somewhere and the credentials are accessible, then it doesn't really matter. Of course, someone has to know how to use those documentation, but I mean, shoot, run that through an AI agent and it can probably teach you. But yeah, IT is constantly changing and it's constantly evolving, and it's almost impossible to keep up with. That's why a lot of people just kind of find their specialty and just run in that lane. But to try to be a generalist in IT is a headache and a half. Ask me how I know.
I guess I was asking just specifically for interagency communication and cooperation.
What do you mean by interagency?
I did a project with the Department of Homeland Security, Coast Guard, Houston or Harris County Fire, and Search and Rescue, and we saw so many different systems, trying to kind of come together for search and rescue and disaster preparedness. That it is kind of a question. I'm just curious as to what everyone's using for analytics on a department basis.
I think you're on the wrong Discord, bro.
Am I?
I
My apologies.
I don't think anybody's using Mesh Core at that type of level, if that's what you're asking. No, we use a Mesh Core basically as at least my intention on the public safety side is eventually when this gets to a working level, a very reliable working level, I'm planning on getting it added to the GOSEP, which is Louisiana's Homeland Security, and because I'm on their AUXCOM committee for communications, eventually it will be added kind of like a last resort when all else has failed, ham radio has failed, everything else has failed, and we need to do basic text messaging. With that attitude, we have had several EOCs in the South Louisiana region who have jumped on board along with some fire departments and stuff. But basically, it's kind of like we're still in. What I tell people is we're still in build out mode. I don't like over promising anything. And until we can build out a little bit better, I think we're not at that level yet for me to. We're not ready for prime time, as they say. We do have some, hospitals that are getting on board also. Some guys, like in Lafayette, they are giving observers to their hospitals so that not observers, companions, so they can kind of use it. But we're not at a level that we are, at least in my opinion, ready to cross that threshold yet for some of these public safety.
Oh, sure. Thank you. That's a fantastic answer. I wasn't trying to get off topic.
No, it's good. And then what we doing here in South Louisiana, North Louisiana is doing Meshtastic, which is a whole different animal. That doesn't talk to Meshcore. Same thing like in Houston, like where y'all at. Talking to my friends down there, Meshtastic is all over the place, but yet they can't talk from one side to the other because there's so many shear repeaters or clients in between them. They exhaust those
Right.
7 hops rather quickly. But for some reason, at least last talking to my friends, Meshcore, while it is gaining very slow popularity, it is not, I tell everybody, I'm very proud of what a lot of these people in this chat and in our group have done, because we had basically about, I'm going to say, I don't know if Scarlett has better numbers, but me going from Meshtastic to Meshcore sometime around Christmas, New Year's, I remember there being maybe 10 or 15 Meshcore repeaters at the most, maybe 20. I don't think there was 20. And for us to be at close to 250 5 months later, it has grown. Yes.
Wow.
Um, it has grown like VD during spring break. It's crazy. Um, but I guess my point of all that is just because this is growing rapidly here in this South region of Louisiana, eventually Mississippi, what North Mississippi, what North Louisiana, what Texas is doing could be completely separate, completely different.
Right.
And I will say, as a real life example, here in Austin, we use a kind of a variety of analytics in terms of scopes, and Dallas is the same. We actually had, I wanted to ask, did y'all see any tropospheric ducting on last Friday, last week, of any like strange long connections?
Dude, I can't tell you what I ate for lunch 6 hours ago.
All
but
right.
but is that no? But all jokes aside, I know. Was it Florida? The guys in Florida. I think some of them. I think Will's here. One of them guys is here. Or there was somebody we've been talking about. Yeah, but I think Kabusi, weren't y'all seeing? Was that y'all that was seeing like these 400-yard shots of tropospheric ducting to like West Virginia or some shit?
Yeah, we
Oh
were
my
seeing
God.
all of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Atlanta, Georgia, Northern Georgia.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Can you imagine trying to keep up?
Yeah, we
Bruh,
were kind of
no.
We're trying to ingest.
them too.
Yeah, we're trying to ingest Florida's 2 byte hexes right now, just so that we don't have when we can connect. You almost need a nationwide
Okay.
hex thing, because when that happens, you can start seeing duplicates. Possibly.
Yeah, yeah. So we saw traffic from Dallas all the way from our North Austin. I was like, I knew this was going to happen, but people have been trying to theorize what happened. So I actually went into the Dallas Discord. I was like, hey, are you guys aware of any like amateur radio, like weather balloons or drones? Because people have been noticing that like when there are like amateur events and ham radio events in the Dallas area, sometimes we see this bridge pop up because none of us put a bridge on our side. They didn't put a bridge on their side. So we're just trying to figure it out, because it was basically going from Austin to Temple to Dallas in like that many hops. And like it was a pretty strong connection for a good solid 20 minutes or so. So,
Now, what I like about this website I'm at, this Wave, and again, I just got this late last night, ladies and gentlemen. I have not had a chance to really start playing with it too much, but apparently, again, I don't know how accurate this is or anything like that, but there is a toggle switch up here for tropospheric ducting to let you know where there's possibly some ducting. So I know every now and then, again, those guys in Florida say how they can see some of these stations down here. I've seen that in their Discord, but maybe this grows a little bit more. But I know there's always a lot of VHF skip or tropospheric ducting we get in ham, because there's times where my ham stuff is here, and I have checked in to a ham net in Fort Walton from VHF ducting. There's always seems to be ducting along the coast. But anyway, but I'm gonna keep it on this just to see if this is how accurate some of this is.
But getting back to my central point was that, we use Scope, they use some other software, but I mean, we can find some stuff in the middle. But as far as a standardized monitoring platform across the country, you'd be hard pressed to find it. I think all these individual cities and regions are kind of going with what their best judgment and best practices to suit the area are. So I think, as long as these regions continue to publish and keep their documentation current, we'll be able to see what the settings are from region to region and, in terms of the analytics and just to see what's on the net. But I think as far as a national standard and in terms of out like an interagency communication through government, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I don't see it. And I've learned in ham radio, getting, a bunch of grown men to agree on anything, it's just not going to happen. And
Yeah.
just the amount of analyzers that we're looking at just right now in this thing is some people are going to like, one over the other, and they're not going to agree on, and what Northwest Mesh
Yeah.
wants to do, and the West Virginia Mesh wants to do, and 10 Mesh, which is the Tennessee Mesh, wants to do, and Denver's Mesh wants to do. That could be all different, if especially, if the guys who run
Sure.
California's Mesh had, something to do with this wave thing. I don't see them switching to something that's more nationally accepted, right?
Until there's like a national mesh core organization that all these other amateur organizations respect and say, hey, we're going to fall in line with this for this reason. Yeah, I don't see it happening. And it kind of goes against the spirit of the
I'm about to
whole
say that.
network because you have two different
I'm
distinct
about to
kinds
say
of
the same
people
thing.
that join mesh core. You have the ones that are the hobbyist that spills over from the ham radio and computer networking and all that side. And then you have the privacy nut. Now, I don't want to use
Yep.
the word nut, but you know what I'm saying. Like the people that are
No,
kind of anarchist, more security minded. They like the
no,
encryption
that
abilities.
you can just call them the off-grid guys, the
Off grid
guys
guys.
who,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
and but you see that in here. Just like
Yeah.
perfect example is we wanted at one point to capture some information about each repeater or, an email to tie people to, so that hey, when we have the news like we're going to default in 70s, we want to be able to push that out to an email to everybody. Some people are like, here's my email. Everybody in the world's got it already. And some people are like, no, I don't want you to tie my repeater to me, because they want to be anonymous and they're afraid, Uncle Sam's going to come in a Black Hawk helicopter with their quad computer and shut everything down. And, it's
I mean, anonymous emails exist and they're pretty cheap to
Proton.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proton and Red Mail. There's quite a few. So yeah, you could technically just give them a throwaway email that's encrypted and that doesn't have any PII whatsoever, not ties back to any accounts. But do people always know that? Not really.
And realistically, if they're really a privacy guy, they would know that already anyways. So they
Yeah.
might just be
Yeah.
playing a part.
Maybe. Who's to say? This wave thing is cool though. I hadn't heard about this. It looks like it's in beta, so it's relatively new, right?
yes, at least that's
Yeah. Nice. Very interesting.
like I said, Treehouse is the guy who he's real big in the East Coast Mesh. I'm sorry, West Coast Mesh, who also was doing the Pi MC console that we use. He is somehow also doing this Wave thing with somebody else, Wave.app, and it's Wave WAEV.app.
Where is it scraping the data from? Oh, you have to add a broker into your observer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
which is just basically Scarlett just adding another line to everywhere,
Her config.
everywhere that my broker or my observer sending now,
Okay. Well, shoot, I got an observer out here. I might have to add this in. So may I show up on the map? Yeah. I'm gonna
Well,
light up.
not only that, but me, I'm all about contests and stuff, because kind of like the Mesh Mapper thing. So when you look at network stats, I was pretty excited earlier because we were ranked number 20th before, and now we ranked 17.
Hey, there you go.
So I'm trying to,
Moving on up. Nice. Is Austin even on the list? It's probably
I'm
not
trying
even
to
on there.
pass up. I'm trying to pass up Obama in Chicago right here. So, I'm sure he's doing mesh.
But look at the score for Cajun Country versus California, 40-0.
But this has to be a separate California because you have Pacific Northwest and Southern California. So, and again, I'm trying to figure out why.
How did you get to that list? It's under network stats. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
But honestly, so far, this is the only thing I found good with the site is the the top 20 meshes. But I know, no, but all jokes aside, I know talking to him in DM because he's been helping me also a lot with some of these decisions with default and how to take care of the people, make sure nobody's left behind and all stuff like that. But he introduced me to this also. But he says there are a lot more things coming to this. They just, I guess taking baby steps and stuff like that. But
Well, yeah. And when it's a target-rich environment, you got to prioritize.
I don't know how they come up with this wave score. You got me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be too transparent either. I mean, it looks like the size of it, the packets per node per hour, and then the redundancy maybe are factors, and then you somehow run that through an equation. I don't know. I'm bad at math.
Guess
I
that's a
don't know.
question I have to ask him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know. I'm wondering why it doesn't show the cities or like the counties or parishes, because that would be helpful to figure out where some of these things are.
Mm.
Unless I'm dumb and I don't see that option to add it on. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, I heard somebody mention as I came in that about a branded firmware for devices by the community. So we give out probably like 5 radios per meetup here in Austin. It's the Heltec, what is that, H or the 144s, I think it is, or 114s. But yeah, they come preloaded with just the standard Mesh Core latest firmware. And then whoever has the most nodes in terms of repeaters and contacts, they'll also put that in on it so where it doesn't have to just discover all the main nodes, right? And then you can always just prune them once you get it. So we find that helps to where, they don't fire up the radio and they're like, well, what's going on? I don't know. I don't understand. So yeah, I think that's a
That's a
great
good
idea.
So what he was saying was setting up one with our MQTT, but in terms of having a custom firmware with built-in nodes, that would be somewhat interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it might, I don't know. Yeah, if you can. I know you can export the config from the Mesh
I
or app.
I think it would be possible with a
Yeah.
custom build.
Yeah, there's something to think about. Future state. Oh, that could even be part of the website. When people go to it, they scan it and they say, okay, if you want to flash your other radios with it, here's our firmware and it has all this, and you can have it by region or something. I don't know. Might be interesting.
Yeah, because yeah, that would be interesting. The biggest thing is maintaining builds is a pain. Well, that sort of thing isn't too bad, especially with GitHub Actions. So
Yeah.
So Scarlett, I see that on the analyzer, you are ingesting
Yes, from the.
But you know what
Yes.
my next question is going to be?
Go ahead.
Repeater control.
Mesh Buddy, yes. I need to import that. I was working on getting Explorer and whatchamacallit moved over. Yes, I will get a repeater control reading from that too.
I think that's what's going to help us figure out
Yes.
any duplicates.
I'll try to, I was thinking about something else. Yes, I'll go ahead and have it start logging that. That way we can duplicates from their side.
I don't see Dan anymore. He dropped out. He must have got jumped for trying to go to mesh. I mean, trying to go to default next Friday. So for the people who still hear me talk too much, we think, and I was going to call out Dan because Dan's like, man, I don't think there's going to be any chance of us getting a duplicate ID on 2Byte for 64,000 possibilities. But we think we got a duplicate ID already because we had somebody go from our area into Pensacola and he was seeing Sammy's Denham Springs South repeater, even though this guy was on default settings, which means even if there was tropospheric ducting, he still couldn't have saw Sammy's repeater because Sammy is on SF9 with us in Denham Springs. The only thing we can figure is that the repeater he's next to must have the same.
Does he have a vanity sign? Like, is it something like fairly common?
I don't think so because I don't think Sammy's got a vanity. I doubt it.
Denham Springs South?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not really.
DF91.
Yeah, it's possible it did. I was thinking it's obviously much more likely if it's like a vanity one, but
Wait, well, and we haven't even confirmed that it's a duplicate. We're just trying to figure out like how Test Rig is the guy who contacted me. But
have y'all heard from Kirby any?
Kirby's stuff has been offline the last 4 days.
Did he ever make it back from supposedly going out of the country?
Yes, I talked to him since then.
Okay. I didn't want to make sure they didn't keep him or something.
There was something back.
I know y'all can do.
It looks like everything that looks like his stuff's been offline since May 14th. Now listen, I'm gonna say this, and I know he's not here, and you shouldn't talk about people when they're not here. But why stop me now? Kirby would always complain to me that he can't get out anymore. He's stuck, and can't get out. And CF9 or SF9, whatever, this and stuff like that. But where is it at? It's on the analyzer somewhere. If you look at Peter Edwards, look at who is now he's been offline for 4 days. But look who leads in the amount of adverts. I think that's why he wasn't seeing anything. His stuff was adverting non-stop. And I think that's why he couldn't get out. Because his stuff was always bouncing off of stuff other than the last 4 days. So I don't know if he purposely took it offline, if he knows it's offline, unplugged, or anything. I don't know if anybody used to go to his room or not, but yeah.
Yeah, I just tried. It's
I don't know what's
offline.
going on with him. I'll have to reach out to him tomorrow, maybe.
I know y'all make some bridge repeaters. Does anybody ever bridged Meshtastic to Mesh Core? Is that possible?
I messed with it. It's
Just
more
questions.
of a question of no practical reason. I've messed with it. It's not really practical.
Not that I'd want to, just see if it's doable.
Yeah, it's doable.
I'm surprised I didn't get slapped for just mentioning the word Meshtastic.
No, it's come up before, but one of the arguments is that, not that I see it, because I do monitor both of them, but with MQTT on Meshtastic, there's a chance of having a lot more traffic, right? And then so you're putting more flooding R. That's one reason why we don't go for MQTT on MeshCore is by trying to limit the traffic. Right, Scarlett? Do I have that kind of right?
I'm gonna be honest, I was zoned out for a second, but I believe
Yeah,
I
me
heard
too.
what you
It's all
said.
right.
Yes.
Just yeah, that's cool. But like, looking at the screen that I'm looking at, it has like some of mine as higher adverts, and I don't know why that is. I'm wondering if this is also counting adverts from other devices in a flood, because like,
Just
my
curious, why would you ever change your advert settings on your repeater? Just why would you go away from default?
A lot of
what is the
reasons.
default?
Okay.
What is the default?
I think it's every 12 hours?
I think
24?
12 hours.
12,
I think
yeah.
12 hours.
Yeah, I think 12 is reasonable.
12 hours can be kind of high as the mesh grows. When you talk about, it's not just one repeater, but when you talk about when you have
250 repeaters.
yeah, when you have
We have
hundreds of
250
repeaters,
right now.
every 12 hours can turn into once a minute. Like currently, right now, we have adverts at normally every minute. During the daytime, it's every minute to maybe even less, but on average, like 1 to 5 minutes. But at the high times, every minute there's an advert, and we're still a pretty small network to be considerable. So as you talk about scaling, it will only get worse and worse. So that's kind of the reason why you'd want to limit adverting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so if it's set to every 12 hours, is that meaning it's going to advert at 12 a.m. and then at 12 p.m. to where everyone is literally adverting at the same time, or is there some sort of
Yes.
staggering in place?
No, there's
Oh,
no torts
shoot.
of yeah.
Oh,
So
no.
that is
Yeah, I
why
see.
we'll
No,
have
I thought it was from when you send that and you save that setting.
Oh
So
my
if I'm
God.
if
okay,
I'm sitting
it's
there doing
like
it at
yeah.
8:30 right now, and I do every 24 hours, then every 24 hours from now on is at 8:40 p.m. It's
Yes.
going to do it. So it's whenever you
Yeah, it's
set that
based off that.
setting,
Yeah.
and that's why
Okay,
I
that's
suggested
okay.
the
All
23
right.
hours also is just to kind of move that time a little bit.
Oh, I think I misunderstood what Gem. Gem? Call you that.
Yeah. What he was saying is he thought there was a default time that like a default hour,
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
12,
saying. That's why I was
Okay.
saying why you would
like
want to
so
change it away from
everybody.
12.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
That would be insane.
Yeah, so
So
he's saying every 12 hours, but
So the one issue you have with that is because so many people set up their nodes around the same time, if at 12 hours, a lot of times repeaters are going to repeat at around the same time. Like you can even see that if you go to, I'm not sure about over there, but I think would y'all using Corescope over there? If you
Yeah,
go
we
to the
are.
packets, if you notice at certain times of days, you'll see a lot of adverts coming just because a lot of people will set up their repeaters around at the same time of day, and you'll have that happen.
Interesting.
so you have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and reboot your server so it starts the clock over. I'm not that serious, yeah.
But yeah, that's what you will see happen is there will be very minimal adverts at night, and then during the day you'll just see them get pretty high. Well, depending on what your adverts are set to, but
What if we created like many time zones across the area? Like one area be like a certain time and then another area would be like a little bit later.
complexity, and to be reasonable, it's not needed. Once we move to default, it will become a lot less of an issue, and then that it's more complexity.
And I have the a-hole comment that while you had 30 people in here, you still got 220 people not here. Or I say 220 repeaters, but what I'm getting at is that the people who really care about this being a team event would do that. But like I said earlier in Discord, you have people who, despite all the stuff we're talking about with, hey, go extend your advert times, and hey, go do passive on mesh mapping and different things like that. You have the people in here who are very selfish who say, when I send a message, it works. So I'm not worried about all that. And that's not just this certain area of New Orleans or Baton Rouge. You have people in Lafayette who say that, and you got people who live right across from my office who say that, but they feel that they don't have to do any of that other stuff because when we send the message, it works. And that's as far as they look into this. So
I guess we missed the big ham fest, huh, Grumpy?
what Hamfest was that?
Dayton, Ohio,
There's nothing there
last
for me.
weekend.
You
I
need,
only went
you
once.
need money for that kind of stuff.
It's you got to walk your ass off, and it always rains.
I ain't got money for that. I gotta buy more repeaters.
Got
Well, the advantage of going, all the new mesh stuff guys are there.
Well, I heard
All the
somebody else
guys
had told me
selling
that mesh is starting to show up more and more at these Hamfests.
Yep.
God, if I could just get the Ascension Club involved in this shit, it kills
We're
me.
seeing more and more hams join our mesh group, so it's been interesting.
I'll tell you, if you're looking at my screen right now, this Ascension Parish area has one of the biggest ham communities there is. You go to their meeting, they run out of chairs. They have people standing up in the back, literally. And yet, I can't get a single one to put one at their. I told them I'd give them a repeater. Just help us out. Because when you start driving up in here and along Airline in Gonzales, there's nothing. And these guys just look at it like it's a big hole. This is mine right here. Other than that, you can't, it's funny how you go to some ham places, ham clubs, and they embrace this. And all these guys want to do is work POTA. I keep trying to tell them that they can text each other while they work in POTA, but that don't work.
You can lead a horse to water.
Again, I think we just need to bring back the April Fools and start up the mesh dating service. Might help out.
Please, God, no. Dating apps are horrible. Please do not make another permutation of it.
But
Thank
hear
you.
me out. If it's over the mesh, the people you're gonna meet are most likely gonna
Similar.
be
True.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Okay.
very
All
similar.
right. All right. That's fair enough. You make a point. I don't know if it's a good or bad point, but it's a point.
I don't know, but I guarantee if you tell them there's women on this mesh thing, they'll start flocking to it. Just like when there's a HF contest, 13 colonies or something like that, and the guys who are trying to get more radio contacts will have their wife or significant other throw the call sign out first, and it's like a moth to flames. It's like they are keying up of each other, running amplifiers. It is obnoxiously crazy. I don't know if any of y'all watch
Oh my
any of
God,
y'all
that's
watch
hilarious.
look at 619 put in the chat. POTA Power. If any of y'all have seen POTA Power on YouTube, they get a crazy amount of contacts. And when you see the tank tops that she wears, you can understand why, because these guys are just, let's just say her antennas have a lot of front gain to them and, forward gain. And these guys are just like, you listening to them live. They run their stream live on Facebook, her and her husband. And these guys are just fighting over each other, trying to contact her. And they're just sitting there flirting over the radio. And it's like, it's so sad. But yes, for how many of y'all in ham, am I wrong? I mean, when there's a woman that keys up on HF, it's like, holy hell.
It was that way with GMRS and CB too.
Really?
Yep. I mean, there's only like one woman to every 60 guys in ham radio.
Hey man, we talked. We opened up our meeting early with this, and we can close our meeting with this. Hey, like Viagra opened up a whole new world for a lot of guys who thought their life was over with. That's all I'll say.
I mean, I'm sure I can find some 915 patch antennas, but my bra, that should work.
What'd you say?
It was a joke on 915 patch antennas and bras.
Look at all the pretty adverts going out.
I see that unless I'm looking at. But again, this advert ain't going this long. You know what I'm saying? It's yeah, whatever. You know, they got these solid yellow lines right here, but I cannot remote into Franklin, Morgan City, or Morgan City to save my life. But it's weird. Like for a couple of days, it gets out great. I can even remote into it sometimes, or sometimes it goes away like it is now. I'm about to get Jared plug you to go pass by and see. But everybody's advert now. Oh, well, look, Pat, you getting in? See that?
Yep.
You going straight to Livingston?
Yep. So I think that Star Hill is going to help me get back to
Boys and girls.
back to One American.
You need to go put a tower at the back of Scarlett's house and.
Well, we got one ready to go. We just got to go up there and put it.
Livingston.
We got a spot by our house.
WRZR783 base.